Hello everyone, my name is Rob, welcome to Kingston Rugby League. In this video I'll be giving you my Super League Round 21 tips and predictions. So let's get started. So kicking things off, we have Wigan Warriors versus Hull Kingston Rovers. Starting with league position, Wigan in second, Hull in fifth. In terms of form, Wigan have won 4 in the last 5, Hull have won 3 in the last 5. Now, Wigan are the better team. We know this. Some of you may respond saying, well, what about the semi-final of the Challenge Cup? Completely fair. My response to that would be, we know Wigan are the better team because they're in a better league position and their form is better. But those kinds of games where teams come out and as the underdog and win, they do happen. And in, let's say, a 3, 4 or 5 game series, Wigan win the majority of matches. In a 5 game series, I think Hull could win 2, but will realistically only win 1. That makes sense. So Wigan are just a better team, but that doesn't mean that Hull can't put up a good fight. I think they absolutely will. They've been, on the up and up the last couple of weeks. They did have a bit of a slump due to injuries. Lachlan Coote was a big miss, but Brad Schneider's come in. He's going to be full of confidence. Match winner, back to back. Full of confidence. Hull have been dealing with injuries quite well, and yeah, as I said, are on the up. But Wigan are the stronger team. They've been stronger overall this season. Stronger in the last 5 games. Put in an insane performance against the Leopards last week, which was not expected at all. So Wigan are just stronger. And I think the prediction I've gone with will reflect that, but will show that Hull are still a strong, reputable contender. So I'm going to go with Wigan 26, Hull KR 16. Next up, we have the Castleford Tigers versus the Huddersfield Giants. Now, in terms of league position, Castleford are in 11th, Huddersfield are in 10th. In terms of form, Castleford have won 1 in the last 5, Huddersfield have won 3 in the last 5. For this one, I think on paper, you could certainly look at the Giants and say, they can run away with this one, and I think they absolutely can. But there's something about them, on paper, they should be fine this season. They should really be pushing for playoffs, but they're not. And they're just too inconsistent. Beating the Dragons was just a weird one. But, I don't know. I don't see it being a necessarily close game. About the same gap as the Wigan Hull KR game. Only because I think Huddersfield aren't acting like the team they should be. I think they'll be completely fine. I don't see a world in which Castleford win this one. I just don't see it. Even at home. I just don't see it. But Huddersfield should be running away with this one. But given how they've been playing this season, I don't think they will. So they'll just kind of allow Castleford to be there or thereabouts. Never really pushing for the win. But I don't see Huddersfield running away with it. So I'm going to go with Castleford 12, Huddersfield 20. Next up, we have the Warrington Wolves versus the Catalans Dragons, starting with league position. Warrington in 6th, Catalans in 1st. In terms of form, Warrington have won 0 in the last 5, Catalans have won 4 in the last 5. So, I am personally, when I put a bet on, I'm personally going to avoid this game. One, because I'm a Wire fan, it's I don't really want to bet on my own team for or against. But mainly because if it is possible that Powell was the problem and that the players, all they wanted to do was get rid of him and they weren't playing for him, then they come out and play at their best. And we do know that Warrington at their best are a strong team. They've already beaten Catalans twice in the league and in the Challenge Cup. They've already beat them twice. So, and even when there's someone else in charge, even though we haven't brought in a new permanent head coach, when there's a different voice that's kind of leading things and kind of making their own changes to how the procedures in training go, how they want to attack differently, how they want players to view things, when there's just a slightly different voice and a slight change in procedure, it can just give that mental switch in a positive way that some teams need. Of course, it can be negative because a main head coach isn't there. So, of course, it could be extremely detrimental for Warrington, but it could also be helpful. So that's one reason why I'm just going to avoid this game for my bet entirely. And I would also recommend you do the same because Warrington have beaten Catalans twice, and you never know with a new coach in charge. Now, it makes complete logical sense to take the Catalans to win here, given that they're on significantly better form. They've been the better team overall this season. The team looks completely fine to me. Doesn't look like anything major that's going to completely throw this, allow the Catalans Dragons to throw this one away. But so logically, I'm going to take the Catalans to win on this one. But in terms of nuances, I would just avoid this one. But in terms of a logical prediction, I'm going to go with Warrington 18, Catalans 30. Next up, we have Salford Red Devils versus St Helens, starting with league position Salford in 7th, Saints in 4th. In terms of form, Salford have won 0 in the last 5, Saints have won 3. I'm not going to waste too much time on this one. I think you all know where this is going to go. So, Salford's form is abysmal. And I basically said last week that, it could not be a worse team to try and turn their season around against, and that was Catalans. And of course, Catalans won. Salford now have to face a St Helens team that's in some decent form and is looking like, well, not exactly like the Saints that we have known the last couple of years, but a new version of it. It's always going to be difficult with a new coach in charge, and with Wellens, but he's starting to put things together for Saints. And in terms of the individual players, Saints can create things whenever they feel like it. They know how to make good meters through the middle. They know how to dominate possession. They know how to pin teams back defensively. If Salford are at their best, with the spine they've got, which is one of the best spines in Super League, they can absolutely put up a good fight. But their form just doesn't indicate to me that they are going to do it this week. If it was against, I think there are maybe 3 teams that they could beat at this current point. It'd be Warrington, Huddersfield and Castleford. Anyone else, they'd either have to put up a real good fight against just to challenge, or they'd have no chance in hell. And this is one of those games I think they've got no chance in hell, unfortunately. So I'm going to go with Salford 12, St Helens 28. Next up, we have Hull FC versus Wakefield, starting with league position. Hull are in 9th, Wakefield are in 12th. In terms of form, Hull have won 3 in the last 5. Wakefield have also won 3 in the last 5. I think we could have a very good game on our hands here, because I do like how strong Hull have been. They have been the better team overall. Over the last 2 months or so, month and a half, they've really started to pick things up. Maybe a little bit longer than that. Whereas Wakefield are only just starting to peak. But still, they're peaking, which is good. So I think this could be a little bit of a back and forth game, but a very low scoring, tight game. But because Hull FC have been the stronger team, and I do feel that they are still the stronger team, I'm leaning towards them. And Wakefield, let's not forget, yes, they're putting great performances. They put in an incredible performance last week against Warrington. But at the same time, they've still been incredibly up and down between their wins. So I do think Hull are still best equipped. Being at home as well is extremely helpful for them. So I'm going to go with a close game. I'm going to take Hull FC 16, Wakefield 12. Finally, for this week, we have Leeds Rhinos versus Leigh Leopards. Starting with league position, Leeds are in 8th, Leigh are in 3rd. In terms of form, they've both won 3 in the last 5. Now, in terms of odds, Leeds are actually 1-8 to win this one. Their handicap is minus 16.5 on Bet365 currently, last time I checked, which is insane to me. I know Leigh got battered last week, but there's still enough in that Leopards team to come out and beat a Leeds team that has been shaky this year. Leeds, like Hull, have also, over the last few months, improved their performances and become a much more consistent team and effective team, and quite dangerous at times. I have backed Leigh a couple weeks, for the last couple of weeks, and hasn't always worked out, but sometimes it has, because of the quality they've got in their team. And just, there's a real good feel. There's a few Leigh fans are a little bit concerned. I've seen, like, on Facebook groups, things like that. They've mentioned that they've been a little bit concerned. They need to get back to winning ways. They don't want, to be thinking too much about the cup final, even though, of course, they will be. But they've just got to get back to playing how they were. Build up that confidence. Get those consistent wins back. And I think they can do it this week. Leeds, they can absolutely win this game. They certainly can. Richie Myler is reliable at the back. When Blake Austin's at his best, he opens teams up really easily. So it's just about what kind of squad are they going to put out? How strong is that squad going to play? It always feels like a question mark with Leeds this season. It's just always a question mark. It doesn't matter who's out there. They can be elite or they can be awful. Whereas Leigh, over the course of the season, I've just been surprisingly, delightfully strong. I think it'll be a close game. It'll be an exciting one. So I'm going to go with Leeds 22, Leigh 26. So that is going to be it for this week. If you have any predictions, let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know how you got on last week. But that's going to be it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.